Some drivers are measured by trophies. Others are measured by something far harder to quantify: the respect of the drivers they raced against. When multiple world champions say a driver was one of the best on the grid, even when his stats don't fully show it, you stop and pay attention. Because that usually means one thing. You're looking at a talent that the numbers failed to capture. Robert Kubica is one of those drivers. He didn't dominate headlines for a decade. He didn't stack championships. But for a brief window in Formula One, he did something very few drivers ever managed to do. He made elite drivers nervous. He extracted performance from cars that had no business being at the front. And at one point, he wasn't just competitive, he was a genuine title contender. So how good was Robert Kubica really? To answer that, you have to look beyond the statistics and understand the driver behind them. Early signs of something different. Before Formula One, Kubica wasn't just another promising junior driver. He was already competing at the highest level of karting, going wheel to wheel with names like Lewis Hamilton and Nico Rosberg. And what made him stand out early was not just speed, it was control. Most young drivers rely on aggression to stand out. Kubica combined aggression with precision. He had an unusual ability to carry speed into corners without losing control, a trait that would later define his F1 driving style. Even in junior categories, he didn't follow the typical path backed by massive funding. His rise was built more on performance than privilege, which made his reputation inside the paddock even stronger. By the time he entered Formula One with BMW Sauber in 2006, people inside the sport already knew this wasn't a normal rookie. The arrival in Formula One Kubica's debut season didn't take long to make an impact. In just his third race, he stood on the podium, something many drivers never achieve in their entire careers. But what truly caught attention was how he did it. He wasn't overwhelmed. He wasn't cautious. He drove like he belonged at the front, calm, controlled, and completely unfazed by pressure. Then came the moment that could have ended everything. At the 2007 Canadian Grand Prix, Kubica suffered one of the most violent crashes in modern Formula One, a high-speed impact that registered over 70 Gs. The car was destroyed, and yet, incredibly, he walked away. Most drivers would take time to rebuild confidence after something like that. Kubica came back and got faster. That tells you everything about his mentality. 2008, the year he proved his level. If you want to understand how good Kubica really was, you look at 2008. This wasn't a dominant car. BMW Sauber was competitive, but it was not on the level of Ferrari or McLaren over a full season. And yet, Kubica put himself into the championship fight. He won the Canadian Grand Prix, his only Formula One victory, but the win alone doesn't tell the full story. What made that season special was consistency. While others made mistakes, Kubica kept delivering. Race after race, he extracted maximum performance with clean races, smart decisions, and no unnecessary risks. At one point, he was leading the World Championship, a driver in a car that was arguably third best, leading against the strongest teams in the sport. Many inside Formula One still believe that if BMW had continued developing the car instead of shifting focus, Kubica could have become world champion that year. What made Kubica special: Kubica wasn't just fast. Plenty of drivers are fast. What separated him was how he generated that speed. He had one of the most unique driving styles on the grid. He carried incredible entry speed into corners, often faster than what seemed physically possible for the car. Most drivers brake early, rotate, and accelerate out. Kubica would push deeper into the braking zone, trust the front end, and fully commit. It was risky, but when it worked, it unlocked lap time others couldn't find. Engineers loved working with him because his feedback was precise. He understood the car at a technical level, not just as a driver, and perhaps most importantly, he didn't make many mistakes. That combination of speed, intelligence, and control is extremely rare. The move to Renault and rising momentum. After BMW's decline, Kubica moved to Renault in 2010. On paper, it looked like a sideways move, but once again, Kubica turned an average car into a competitive one. He delivered podiums, qualified near the front, and consistently outperformed expectations. At Monaco, one of the most demanding tracks in Formula One, he qualified second. At Suzuka, he delivered one of the most impressive qualifying laps of the season, despite damage to the car. These weren't one-off performances. They were consistent. Kubica wasn't just driving well, he was elevating the entire team. And heading into 2011, the belief inside the paddock was clear. Kubica was entering his prime, and a move to a top team looked inevitable. The crash that changed everything. February 6, 2011. A rally crash in Italy changed everything. In seconds, Kubica's career and life took a completely different path. The accident caused severe injuries to his right arm and hand, requiring multiple surgeries and a long recovery. For most drivers, that would have been the end. And in many ways, it was the end of the Kubica Formula One had known. Because what he lost wasn't just time, it was physical ability. The comeback, a different kind of greatness. Years later, Kubica returned. Not at full strength, not in a competitive car, but he returned. Driving a Formula One car requires extreme precision and perfect control. Kubica came back with limited mobility in his arm and still managed to compete at the highest level. That alone is extraordinary. But the comeback wasn't about proving he was still the fastest. It was about proving something deeper, that his understanding of racing and his determination were still there. Even outside Formula One, his success in endurance racing showed that his talent never disappeared. It simply adapted. The what-if factor. Kubica's career will always carry one question. What if the crash never happened? Based on his trajectory, the answer is clear. He would have won more races. He would have driven for top teams. And there is a very real possibility he could have become a world champion. Because everything you look for in a champion was already there. Speed, consistency, mental strength, and technical understanding. Timing was the only thing missing. So, how good was he really? Robert Kubica wasn't just a good driver. He was one of the most complete drivers of his era. At his peak, he wasn't just competitive with the best, he was equal to them. Some would argue even better. But his career doesn't fit the traditional definition of greatness. There are no multiple championships or long lists of wins. Instead, there is something else: respect. From teammates, from rivals, from engineers, from people who truly understand the sport. And sometimes, that tells you more than statistics ever could. Formula One history is full of champions, but it is also full of stories that could have been something even greater. Robert Kubica is one of those stories. He showed what he was capable of. He proved he belonged at the very top. And even after everything was taken away from him, he came back and reminded the world who he was. So the question is simple. Was Robert Kubica good enough to become a world champion? Or was he something even rarer? A driver whose true level can only be understood by those who saw him at his peak. Let me know what you think. And if you enjoyed this deep dive, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more stories from the world of Formula One.